Hey, Wabbles.
Hello? I was like, do you wanna sync up?
Oh, yeah. We should.
Yes, we're back
We
after
are
after
back again.
after four years.
Oh, God. Has it been that long?
Yeah, yeah. Last episode was 4 years ago. 5, dare I say?
Dare I say 10, perhaps?
70.
Who's to say?
Oh no, it is 4. Don't worry.
At least.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Yeah. I've missed you, honestly.
I've missed this. I've missed this too. I think it was nice because it was, it was consistent for the three years we did it, 2.5.
Yeah. Mainly
Um,
2, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, but it was weird.
Well, it depends because we started in October.
We did.
So it depends on if you're counting calendar years or like 12-month cycles.
Fiscal, counting between Aprils. Oh, it's
No.
I feel like I'm at the point where I care about the tax year. Jesus, what's happened to me?
I know, yeah.
Oh,
Baby Wobbles would never.
long dead. But yeah, no, I've missed this. I definitely have. It's nice to be back.
Yes.
But-
And I realized while we were gone that without a podcast that we do not maintain our friendship well enough.
No,
So I think
yeah, because it was
I
a
think
mix.
if a podcast is what it takes, then that's what it takes.
That's so fair, yeah. No, and around the time we finished, I started up sixth form, and then now I'm in university. So it's like, I'm going from lockdown was probably the most productive this podcast's been, given there was not much going
we
on.
accidentally became a COVID podcast.
Yeah, it was like a month by month. Yeah, no.
We're like, content.
But yes, yeah, no, I've realized I am bad at time management. It turns out, but now we're back, officially back.
How'd you feel about that April Fool's episode?
That was quite funny. I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah. We've all listened to it. Definitely.
I mean,
I've just recorded it like 5 minutes ago.
I've definitely listened to some variation of it.
I heard it live and pre-edited.
Yeah, exactly. Exclusive. No, yeah, that was pretty good. Good. Coming back with a bang.
I hope so. I hope it comes out good. If not, if you're listening to this, having just listened to that yesterday, and you're like, why'd they make this? This is so bad. I understand. That's reasonable. I would just like to say, though, that it was an idea I had in 2022. I have it in my notes app. I checked when the note was created. So at least since 2022, which is not long after we stopped, I've had this idea like gnawing at me. So yeah, if nothing else, I wanted to just create it so that I can move on with my life.
Yes. Yeah, get it out there.
And with any luck, that will be our most commented episode on YouTube.
Oh,
if
yeah.
everyone, if I know anything about YouTube commenters, it's that they will pause every time they hear something incorrect and let us know.
And yeah, if you have any complaints, feel free to dislike, share it to someone you hate, and make sure you go on in the comments with your least favorite emoji and film.
Share this on social media and be like, can you believe these guys?
Yeah, maybe we should just become like rage bait lolcows and just start I mean, it depends how well that episode goes. This might be our last normal episode.
I know if that episode does like the algorithm hooks into it and it does crazy numbers. I mean, I'm not writing that off just yet. You know, I'm not saying we won't go there.
Ride the wave. We need to film like a morning routine video that's deliberately like obscene and poorly edited.
Yeah, we need to like rent something really expensive and then act like that's just like part of our morning routine. I don't know. I don't know how you do that in a way that you don't destroy it. Well, look, we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out once we get there. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Ooh, I know. We could go to Japan, and I'm gonna finish that joke there. I enjoyed making it, so I think that's what's important.
That's the most important to me. Yes, I'm glad that you enjoyed enabling my dumb ideas.
Where would this podcast be without it?
As long as you had fun. Welcome to season 4, Wabbles.
Season 4. Wow, that's a big number. I think it's 2 squared. It's also 2 plus 2, and it's 2 times 2, as well as the square root of 16. So we're really covering our bases here.
Yes, for those of you counting at home, season 1 had 12 episodes, 1 a month. Season 2 had 12 episodes, 1 a month. And season 3 had 3 episodes spread out over like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, so
season 4 is this one that you're listening to now.
Yeah, well, keep it a surprise. Don't let them get too comfortable.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm not going to be so bold as to assume how many episodes this season will have or how many years it will be spread out between.
Daily for 8 years, I reckon.
Daily for 8 years. That's that would probably put us in contention for like podcast with the most episodes.
I think we can I think we should try achievable goal and like fix our sights for the Archers as longest running audio broadcast show thing.
Yeah, longest in terms of duration.
How many episodes did I think it's 20,000.
We're actually tomorrow we're gonna start live streaming and it'll just
the 24-hour podcast.
Yeah.
So there's 20,560 episodes. So if we just start in
of what
of the Archers, see they're cheating. See the runtime of only 12 minutes. I bet we could pump out 2-minute episodes. So if they what's the maths? They've been running since 1951 to 2025 on 12-minute episodes. Do you want 2-minute episodes? That's 6 times as quick.
If we cut one long episode into bits,
we move over to short form content.
It'll be horrendously unlistenable, but we could do it. We record an hour and a half podcast and we cut it into 30 chunks and just mid-word whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, if we do it at that rate, we'll beat the Archers in 12 and a half years. So
what is the Archers?
It is a British radio soap opera it has been broadcast on BBC Radio 4 since the 1950s. And it's like the longest,
one of those like
yeah,
like a old radio show that they have to keep making just because it's so old.
Yeah. Like I try to think of I try to remember how many like generations of I've listened to it, a bit over the years. If my dad listens to Radio 4 and me if I want the news, and it'll come on, and it's it's interesting because it's now gotten to the point where there are people who were like bought like kids at the beginning of the show that like their characters are now adults with kids who are now adults that have had kids. That's how long it's been running. That like there are like 3 generations of characters in. But it's it's good background noise. you get to hear people with their West Country accents. I would say funny, but I don't want to alienate anyone right off the get go. I'll wait till we get like a sponsor deal from
to be
which I think is like
racist or
yeah. I was like, I think it was
whatever.
a particularly reactionary company that I could name that would be immediately what's in the zeitgeist at the minute. We've actually been in stasis for 4 years.
That's an interesting choice, Wobbles. That's you're I'm trying to wrap my head around that. You're gonna wait until we have a sponsor that would be mad at such things.
No. As in, if it's like mug, I'm trying to think of like a company that's like deliberately has a reactionary.
Oh, a little bit like a edgy.
Yeah,
like you're waiting for that Surfshark VPN sponsorship.
Yeah, mug root beer. Is that the one that was like when men were men?
The one with that's the one with the dog.
The dog
in the logo. I don't know.
I think they had like a when men were men style like marketing. I don't know. I've just seen memes of it. Like I've never seen.
Yeah.
I've never had it either.
I don't. Yeah.
I've only had root beer once, and I didn't expect it to taste like that, but it does.
Root beer is great. I don't know what marketing you're talking about. That sounds bad.
But I've had A&W there. That's the one. It's quite. It tastes like it. Tastes
I don't have opinions on like branded root beer. I think
as a concept.
As a concept.
It tastes like licorice, which is a root. It just wasn't the root I was expecting it to taste like. But I guess like licorice drink. I don't know. That sounds nice. I quite like licorice.
Does it taste like licorice?
It tastes like whatever like Americans call like red vines or whatever.
In my head, it just tastes like root beer. So.
Yeah, but like the only thing that like my base of reference is red vines. It doesn't taste like actual licorice, like aniseed. It tastes like sweet, marketable to children licorice. Sorry, that was
No, this is good. I love how I think recording. I think talking a bit before we recorded, and then also, which I mean, sorry, Minters, you missed out on some conversation there, but
yeah.
They're never gonna know about Notre Dame.
They're never gonna know about why I need to know what the square footage of the Notre Dame is.
Yeah. But I think having a conversation a little bit before, and then also recording the April Fool's episode, I think we're immediately into this one. We can't even follow our document here.
I now want to have a completely different conversation about American food I've had.
Yeah, this episode's gonna be like 10 hours long. Every bullet point we like immediately derail into.
No, I don't know. There's no thesis. This means nothing.
Should we address the new name and the new cover art?
With a new season, I think.
A new era, if you will.
I think breathing some new life into the visuals and name. It might be a bit more exciting. I mean, hopefully it's not too confusing. Like it's a very minor, name change. All things concerned, it's not like didn't do a Prince or anything. Though that the
MtP podcast.
In like 4 more years, when we do another reboot, we should just make it symbol, and we have to be the podcast formerly known as.
It should just be the T emoji.
Yeah. But we need to get in like a legally binding contract with like a evil, again, setting our sights on when we get a book deal.
Yeah. When we get that whatever root beer sponsorship, they're gonna have to send us a contract with the emoji printed on.
Yeah.
Write us a check made out to.
No, I think what we need to
emoji.
do. We need to like. I don't know. We need to like use the next version of Unicode, like a whole development cycle ahead, so we can. Yeah, there's not really. Yeah, but there's a good way of dropping sponsorships that we don't like is just finding a new awkward emoji. Yeah.
We don't have any sponsorships. We can't get Mint Mobile on board. And
No.
we're already coming up with strategies on how to ditch them. We're like, yeah, we got. If we ever have a sponsor that just won't stop giving us money, won't leave us alone, they're like,
any
just change your name, change our RSS feed.
Any potential sponsors that are interested, we don't want you.
We gotta flee the country.
Yeah, change our bank accounts to like a different
file for bankruptcy, and like maybe then they'll just stop writing us checks to sponsor our podcast.
Please stop giving us your money. Yeah, thanks to our supporters on Patreon. No.
Yeah.
Oh no. Actually, no, also we don't want you to use our Patreon link in the description. Please don't click it.
Is this reverse psychology? I know what you're doing.
Yes. You know, I think. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say. Yeah. If people do have feedback on the art and name and potential changes,
yeah,
suggestions, anything really, definitely the Discord would be a good place for that.
Yeah.
Although the Discord itself, I think, is also going to get some revisions.
Some synergizing.
I'm probably, and this is good. I actually forgot to put this in our document, but we talked about it. But I'm thinking just drop the whole house thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. It seemed like a fun way to create sort of like factions in the Minters, but I don't know that we need to.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Create more unity. Was it around the time that Discord did the factions thing of a never touched? Like I remember people talked about that for a week.
I'm fairly certain we predated that, so really they copied us.
Lawyer up Discord. I mean, we can also get back the birthday thing as well whilst we're at it.
Yeah, you're talking about how Discord changed their birthday.
Yeah. Actually, Discord we'll let you off on the whole house idea if you just change your birthday back. This is an open letter.
Well, they're what their birthday used to be was my birthday, so
for legal purposes, it's a joke.
If they change it back, I'm gonna come at them for that too.
Yeah. For legal reasons, that's a joke. We do not want any emails from lawyers, please.
Yes, unless they're offering to.
Yeah, take our case.
Take our case.
Or sponsor us. We'll take legal sponsors. I don't really know what. I don't really know. I've not. I don't really know of. I guess.
Yeah. I don't. But probably the legal team wouldn't be the ones. The point of contact would probably be the marketing.
Yeah. I forgot. I do also have a. It's a throwback, but I do also have a team of lawyers, so it's fine. Yeah. Oh, sorry, I don't. Does that work?
Are you talking to the guy upstairs or the audio engineer?
The audio engineer just went to go check with the lawyers, if I could say that.
I see.
So. Yeah. Cheers, mate. Yeah. Yeah.
I was wondering if we should bring up the document.
What, for the episode we were gonna
for the episode 27 that was never
was.
That never was.
Yeah.
I don't remember what a lot of these notes are about.
What's Fall Guys? No, I think it's very funny because I remember I looked back because I was like, what? How long has this been here? And I was like, oh, this is very safely planted in 2021. What's COVID? I've never heard of that. No one has brought that up in a while.
There's mentions of COVID, stimulus, Detective Pikachu, and
Pikachu.
Fall Guys.
Detective Pikachu was one of the first giveaways. I was like, this is very old because no one has talked about Detective Pikachu. I think the Sonic movies kind of eclipsed the live-action video game character movie.
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, for sure.
And it's it's still going. You know, Sonic. We've had 3 Sonic movies in between us releasing.
Oh, I do see the one thing in this old show notes that I do recognize and do want to talk about still is it mentioned Don't Starve Together, the game.
Oh yeah.
And apparently, I think I brought that up on a previous podcast, but apparently I forgot to mention Walter and Wobby, which was the character I would play as in that game. Walter just happened to have a dog sidekick that he sort of counts as like a extra storage, follows you around, and then you get Chester, and then you have double extra storage.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah, the dog's name is Wobby. And I just playing that and not knowing that, and then like learning it as I'm already playing that character.
That's quite funny.
I was just like, yes, this is Wobbles.
I mean, again, our lawyers are going to be in. But no, yeah, that's quite a funny coincidence. And like, yeah, that game it's a funny bit. Those Starve games are pretty old now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't Starve Together is still new in my head, but it's definitely not, and I'm afraid to check how old it actually is.
It's one of those games that's like kind of fun to play multiplayer though.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get it for 10 years. Which is a crazy sentence, but it's true.
No, I feel that about some other games. I'm sure I just have to think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it felt like you were playing with me whenever I was playing that character, because I had little Wobbles following me around.
That's nice. I like to think in that universe, MtP kept going. We talked more and more about politics as the last few seasons went on. You know, we joked about becoming a geopolitics exclusive podcast.
Yeah, which, you know, like we could.
We could.
I do have opinions. I don't know if that's the direction we want to go, but
no.
I guess that can be something people can have feedback on if that's what the people want, you know.
But I did think it was I just think it's funny because you'll listen back to that last episode, you know, if you're listening for it, you'll hear us talk about a man called Boris Johnson, who has now not been mentioned in British politics. Even though it's you know, it's been the length, just shy of the length of a parliamentary term, and we've had 4 prime ministers since then, and I just think it's quite funny because, you know, we've had the same president since then, up until this point, and then we've it's crazy that we've had 2 different presidents during the lifespan of this show, and 5 prime ministers, I think.
Yeah, I think Cameron was already.
Oh, it was
how down.
When did May step down? Cameron stepped down.
I believe May was prime minister when we started the show.
Yeah. So we've been through 5 prime ministers and 2 presidents which I just thought was funny.
You guys went on quite a tear between old era and new era.
Yes, and the Queen died, which was, you know, it's crazy. I feel like that's
a big change.
That is a big change. I think it makes Liz Truss now probably one of the funniest trivia facts in British politics. You know, simultaneously the term of the shortest prime minister occurring at the same time as the end of the reign of the longest monarch.
I forgot that she was prime minister when that happened.
She was.
I was trying to figure out the connection there. I was like, are you implying Liz Truss did?
Well, to be fair, she was sworn in and met the Queen like a week before she died. The timeline of events is very funny on that. But now I have like a remember where you were when event happened, because that's pretty crazy.
Yes, I was at work. It was not that exciting.
I was at dinner, and the radio that we'd listen to radio over dinner would just be my dad, and there was a report that was like, oh, the Queen's feeling ill, and me and my dad were like, oh, she's died, hasn't she? And then we got the special announcement broadcast like immediately after, And I was like, yeah, because she'd been ill. She'd been ill for a while before then, and then there was reports of her like condition declining. Though around the time of this podcast being recorded, is the Pope not dying after getting, the Pope surviving
Yeah.
against all odds? Which
Yeah, he had pneumonia or something.
yeah,
Right?
it was a respiratory
Just
infection that
recently.
led to pneumonia.
I guess while we're talking about like heads of state and stuff, I mean we did have Jimmy Carter die recently at
That
100 years old.
that true. That is true. That also happened.
Um,
Who else?
yeah, but that's one of those things. I definitely could see you were saying like when you hear that on the radio, of like oh yes, this person who's like in their late 90s is feeling ill today. It's like, oh, they're done. They're done
Yeah.
for.
Yeah,
it's like
it's over.
that's not a good sign.
No, yeah.
It's like,
It just it just happens.
but I guess that's what makes the Pope one surprising, because
Yeah,
I feel like everyone was bracing for impact on that.
Yeah, but it would have made the no. You know what? It would have made the cardinality of popes in my lifetime too. That's the joke for this episode.
We're only allowed one per episode. I'm sorry, everyone.
Yep.
See you next week. Next week, we're not.
Next week.
Tomorrow. What am I saying? Tomorrow, obviously. The episodes are, they're wherever you find them. They're in your heart. Oh yeah. Okay. So, kind of overkill preparing for this. I re-listened to all of the episodes and took notes on some stuff that I wanted to follow up on. I was, if I'm honest, I was re-listening to see just how cringe they were, and whether or not I could bear to leave them up. And
Maybe
I think they came out okay. It's fine, but I do have some follow up.
Okay.
But it's kind of a list, and I feel like we already have a lot to cover this episode, so I think
Maybe we can we should start a new section, which is like, I don't know, either just after or just before follow up, which is, I said something a few years ago that I'd like to bring up in this conversation because I thought about it. I've had a few of those in like the past 4 years where I'm like, why did I say that?
I can't extend this beyond the scope of the podcast, because my anxiety, I will bring up so much random stuff that no one else remembers except for me.
Yeah.
I'm like, 8 years ago I said this one thing to this one person, and it's still bothering me. No, this podcast can't be become my like therapy session in that way. I don't think that would even be like a healthy thing for me to like bring up every old random memory and record it to listen back to.
Yeah,
it's like my head's doing that on its own. But things that are already recorded and already in the episodes, I will yes, I will. But I think we kind of, next episode we clear the deck on that. Just get any old remaining follow up out of the way and
bring out what's old laundry to air? What's the saying? Anyway.
But I also thought it was probably best not to make this entire episode just about the old laundry, because, for a couple of reasons. Like, one, that might just be kind of unlistenable to any new people, and also because I feel like, since, as mentioned several times, this being the start of a new era of sorts, I feel like this would be a good starting place for the people of the future, future aspiring minters, if you will. If that describes you, and maybe you don't realize it yet, hello, it's Ska from the past, talking directly to you.
Yep. We are reaching through the veil of time. This is a direct conversation.
But yeah, I just felt like it probably avoid shooting ourselves in the foot of having the starting place for the podcast for listeners who don't care to have a massive backlog. Also be a podcast mainly dedicated to follow up from the massive backlog.
Yeah.
Well, it's honestly, it's not even that much of a backlog, you know. Everyone should just go listen to it.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, voice is a few octaves higher.
God, I guess
insanely told episodes.
Is it?
'Cause, like I'm a full adult now. You know, I pay rent, and I have debt, and
That's so strange. Why do you have debt? Hang on. Wait, stop the podcast.
Can't stay away from the dice. Lady Luck is fickle. No, I do.
Well,
for university, I've taken out a student loan. I'm like, it's a pretty safe loan. I'm not gonna talk about loans. I feel like it is basically as good
making
as.
sure my friend is not like running up credit card debt or
I'm
something.
about to get my legs broken by a loan shark.
You're like,
no.
I'm an adult now, so you know they gave me this plastic, and I buy whatever I want.
Some guy, you know, breaks my elbow and smashes up my house, and then
so you're immediately taking it to like a
like I've got
like
involved
an organized
with the
crime kind of
yeah.
I'm just concerned about your financial literacy, and you're like, it's okay, I paid off the mob boss, so we're all good there.
No, yeah, because I can't. I'm gonna, you know, it's a weird position where, like, you know, it'll come up that I had a podcast at some point as I've met and talked to lots of people, and I'm like, please, can you just listen from like episode 15 onwards, I reckon. But like, you know, that's, you know, listen to whatever episode you want in, preferably twice, and leave a comment of your favorite bit,
and then leave the video, come back to the video, and leave a comment of your least favorite bit.
That's
That's
and then send it to 2 people, and if you send us proof of people you've sent it to, we'll send you money, and then you get those people to send the link, and then you can give them money for as much, and then you get some cut of the revenue from our podcasts afterwards, and you just keep recruiting people.
You're making a lot of promises for.
Look, I've got to make a podcast.
You're only 50% of here, so
look, I've got to make.
I don't know what money you think we're gonna send, but
look, I've got to make good on my loan. It's pretty crazy interest rates these days. But no, yeah.
Join the Patreon to pay off Wabbles' loan.
Yeah.
We won't. How about this? We won't send you money, but we will upload episode 0 as bonus content. A thing that I've been meaning to do on the Patreon for probably years at this point.
I should do start selling off gilts or government bonds, where like you can buy up a bit of debt on the promise that I don't want to say this. I don't know. I don't want to misexplain economics if someone makes a poor financial decision.
Yeah, we should have got this out last recording.
Though, you know,
and we could have people correct you on your explanation.
It'll be 4 days before the new financial year, so make sure you do your tax returns if you haven't already.
That's that's true. Yeah, file.
Is that May?
It's more than 4 days. At least in the U.S. It's like
for you. It's May, isn't it?
No, it's like mid-April.
Is it mid?
It's
mid-April.
It's like the 14th or something. I don't know. I just do it before then, and I don't have to worry about it. But yeah, if you haven't done your tax returns,
if you haven't
done it yet, do it.
Yeah.
Do it, as they say.
But yes, yeah, it's a good place to start if you're new. You don't have to listen to.
This has been a MtP public service announcement.
Yeah. The skyscraper quiz is still pretty good, and I actually I think I agree that the can of ham is called the can of ham. After seeing what a can of ham
once I knew, what can of ham. See, I'm not. You should have known because that's
true.
That's I assume a British brand.
No, I mean it's in. Is it Christmas with the Cranks? There's a scene with the ham.
That movie was so bad.
That movie was awful.
Movie one time.
But there's a scene of a can of ham, and that is the moment that I realized why the can of ham is shaped that, or just called.
I don't know if I got to.
You
that
got
scene.
that far in.
That's one of very few movies that I did not make it all the way through because it was bad.
That's fair. I watched no, actually.
I don't remember any details. It was a long time ago. I was trying to watch it with a friend or something, and we were both just like, "This is."
It is a. It's not even like a funny bad. I think actually, arguably, it's a funny bad. It's okay. I've decided. I've coined this term because I've started watching bad movies. I think anti-good is a good word to describe movies that are like bad but still fun to watch.
Anti-good.
Because it's like not a good movie, but it's like
an anti-hero.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's like
anti-good movie. Yeah, I like that. And I'm sure that pretty much any movie could be fun with the right group. You know, you're gonna watch it and like sort of riff on it a little bit.
I would, if anyone wants a good movie, is thinking of a good movie to watch with a group of friends, I would suggest Megalopolis by, is it Ford Francis? Who's the guy that did The Godfather and Apocalypse Now? Is it Ford Francis Copeland? I don't. Copeland? Coppola. Okay. Whereas where was that in the April Fool's episode? That would have been great. I could have, could have done a Family Guy reference.
We should have said. We should have said Robert Paddington.
Robert Paddington. Anyway, yeah.
And anywho, so I guess this actually I didn't expect this conversation to go in this direction, but this does kind of lead into. So at one point when listening to the previous episodes and thinking about like rebranding and stuff, I was thinking there's a possibility I might need to re-upload these possibly on another channel or something, and because I don't know, YouTube's weird about stuff sometimes, but when I was thinking about that, I was like, oh, what would I call it to sort of like be clear that these are old episodes that are being re-released and not reflective of our current opinions and current voices. And I came to the genius name branding of reminted. I was like, obviously, like when you mint something, then remint it, and then it turned out I didn't really need to re-upload. It's always best to avoid doing that just for view reasons and upload date reasons and stuff.
Yeah.
But the name reminted kind of was still in my head. I was like, oh, that's too good to not use for something. And I was like, well, what could that be used for? And I was thinking like remaster, maybe. I could make like a Dragon Ball Z Kai sort of
director's
cut.
Live commentary.
Re-record all the audio. No.
I think director's commentary. It just pause the podcast at random. Like it would just be not like.
I was earlier today, before we started recording, I was thinking it would be funny to do a director's commentary on the April Fool's episode.
But
So maybe that'd be Patreon content
yeah,
a year
there's
from
a
now when we feel like doing that.
yeah.
But no, so I was thinking actually what I could do is make a essentially, I mean, somewhat remastered perhaps, but essentially just an abridged version of the previous episodes
Cliff notes.
where
Kind of.
yeah, basically like I'd like to try and get them all down to like 30 minutes
Mm.
and just keep like the relevant lore and like you were saying of like, oh well, like the skyscraper quiz is great and that's like classic and that's also like relevant for like knowing what the hot dog is and stuff like that. So it's like obviously that would be in
Yeah.
episode 1.
Yeah.
um so I don't know, but it would also essentially be like sort of just re-releasing the same content again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know how much of an interest people would have in that.
Yeah.
I see like pros and cons to it of just like pros of like,
Yeah.
oh well, it could save people time on like re-listening or like catching up without needing to listen to the whole thing. But yeah, I don't know. I would definitely be interested in feedback on that because it's like it is something I could do and had some interest in doing like a while ago, but now I'm like I don't know if it would be worth it. So if people want it, I will do it. But
Yeah.
but if not, it is sort of like a redundant
Yeah.
idea.
Just
But
getting
yes,
getting the feelers out if that's what
yeah,
people want.
reminted. Let me know.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that. Anyways,
Over the last like few years, 3 years now, I've started playing D&D, and I've enjoyed it. I've played it. I've DM'd it. It's very good. It's very good. I hadn't really ever played it
oh yeah.
before.
So like, do you have a like an in-person group?
Yeah, so I've got one that I have at like my hometown, where I went to sixth form, because I've got a bunch of friends that live like 10 minutes from me that we all play together, and then I have something at university. At the minute, I'm doing something online with the in-person group from home. We've started. I'm DMing a thing for them as like because a few of them have had D&D stuff and they're bored. Sorry, they've had D&D stuff that's not worked out and they're bored. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm happy to fill the D&D shaped hole. I'm not like the usual DM. Unfortunately, our forever DM is very busy, which is fair enough. I think scheduling D&D is very very tricky. But I also have another game running with my housemates, which is a bit easier when you all live in the same house.
That's nice.
But I've kind of also started introducing them to Call of Cthulhu, which I picked up over last summer, which is it's great fun.
Oh, I've never played that.
I think I prefer it to D&D in almost every way, but D&D's just
Really?
it's got a pretty D&D's just got quite a nice combat system, and if you lean into it, it's a good time. But
I assume you're playing 5th edition.
yeah,
I didn't ask, but
yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. 5th edition is a very nice combat system. Very very polished. Very. Yeah. I don't want to get.
I grew up on 3.5, so I'm kind of like.
Yeah.
I've tried to play 5th edition a couple of times. I've played it like a little bit, but I can never get a group together, and right now I don't even really have the time myself. So
yeah, it's but fifth is.
But that sounds really fun.
But yeah, if you lean into like the combat heaviness of 5th edition, it's quite good. It does. I found it doesn't really do anything good or that well outside of it. Whereas Call of Cthulhu's very role play, not very combat focused.
That does sound good. Yeah.
And it's just easier to have more interesting stories because the things I have run, there's not been any combat for like the entirety of a 3-hour session other than like the last 15 minutes where everyone dies because it's Call of Cthulhu. But it's good fun. But it's interesting playing real life games, and running them is quite interesting. It's a nice way of thinking about like narratives and stuff. Like I've done some world building. I've got my own little world that I've been inhabiting with people and towns and over the years, and like over like 2 years now. And it's quite nice when people want to play D&D because it's an excuse to drop them in a part of the world that I'm working on. And because what I like to do is when I'm thinking of like a part of the world I want to build on, I will just drop some players in it, and then whatever they do is the story of that part of the world and how it plays out. So that's quite fun. And it means that like over time, if I'm running something with another group later on, then I've got a more flushed out, like it's like a fine wine, ages quite nicely. But yeah, it's good fun. I've got way too many dice now. I have a
Good.
I have a spreadsheet of averaging all my d20s to see which ones. I've not really tested like done the thing you're meant to do when you something that's above or below an expected value, because I can't be bothered. For all those like statisticians that are ready to rip me to shreds for rolling a
You're
d20
gonna get
200 times.
You gotta roll them all like 20,000 times.
20,000 times, and then hypothesis test them, see if it's in a level of significance that's appropriate. I'm pretty sure that they are. I've got one resin that's got little rubber duckies in. They're my favourite dice, and they also roll higher on average. So they're kind of like my dice of doom, as it were.
That's good. It's good when you really need to get a 20.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, other than that, well, since coming to uni in my second year now, I've moved into a house with some friends, and one of them has bought a Wii, and we all were like, we should all bring games. So between us, we have 50 Wii games in our living room.
Yeah, Mario Party 8.
Which ones do we have? We have a Mario Party. We have Wii Party. Me Party? Wii Party.
Your Wii Play.
We have Wii Play, we have Wii Sports, and Wii Sports Resort. But most importantly, which I brought from my home, we have Rabbids Go Home, which is the greatest game of all time.
You heard it here first.
Uncontestedly.
Uncontested.
It's very good. I went back and I was like, was I a child or was this game good?
Turns out
it's good.
Game's good.
And then I was like, is this game hard or was I a child? And it turns out I was a child. So, I mean, actually, like it's got there's like some of that, like there's a level of it that is hard because like level design, and that's interesting. That's fun. But there's like a level of hard where it's like, oh, we've made a game for the Wii, so there's just a mechanic that's just unnecessarily a bit jank because they were like, we need to fit Wii motion in this somehow.
Yeah.
But
actually, it worked really well, and they were like, hang on, this is a Wii game, jank it up.
yeah, they were like,
no. That's better.
Yeah, exactly. We need it to only work. Actually, no, we need it to work almost all the time. But there's like one time where you really need it, and it won't work. But like other than that, it's a pretty good game. It's got a very solid visual design. There's a lot of jokes in there. It was like a lot of it was written in the era of like games and cartoons and movies for kids that had jokes in for the parents that were like forced to sit and watch this thing with the child. Like there's so much stuff that I didn't pick up on as a kid.
So now you're getting to experience it from the other side.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite good. The Country Roads is on the soundtrack, as well as Romanian folk music, which is it's very good. I would, if you need like to hype yourself up, I would listen to the Rabbids Go Home soundtrack.
See, I've never played this, but
That's great.
Wobbles is never wrong.
I've never been wrong.
Never once wrong, and says it's the best game of all time, so truly it must be. Rabbids Go Home.
Yeah. And I don't know how much I talked about City Skylines. I played it, I think it's my second most played game of all time, the original. I think I talked about it. I think It's probably come up, given how much I've played it over the years. And I got the sequel last year. The sequel's been out for 2 years, I want to say.
An amount of time.
An amount of time. The sequel's been out for an amount of time. And it's bizarre. It is bizarre. It's weird because it is a graphically better game. And
did they change the interface like
yeah. Not drastically, to be fair, but there are some new aspects to the interface, and there's like some new systems in there that I like. I'm trying to think of some. See, I've not played the game in a bit, but I just thought it's interesting to talk about because it just still doesn't feel there yet. And it's just a bit annoying because it's like the first one was so good. I think as well, I'm skewed because like I quite heavily modded City Skylines towards the end, whereas because it's not been the second one has not been out as long, it doesn't have as much. It doesn't have 6 years of mods or whatever.
Did they like continue to develop the first one for a long time after it came out?
Yeah. They added
add
DLC to it every like year, 6 months. Like they were continually updating the systems.
So maybe eventually the second one will be better.
I think so. I think it is just, but it's just weird because it feels like, they've had all this experience from the first game. But it's interesting because it feels like a weird void where a lot of people are pretty happy sticking to the first one. And I made the leap to the second one just to be like, let's see how this is. And it is quite nice. Like you can designate routes for cargo trains, whereas before cargo trains would go between cargo terminus on a whim. Like if two cargo terminus wanted to exchange cargo, it just would happen. So you had to design your rail network like a motorway where there's like a flux of demand, like whereas now you can make freight routes, which makes way more sense because trains are timetable. Like, you don't just go to the train station and there's a guy like, you know what? I need to go to Salisbury to get some milk. I'll drop you off on the way if you want to get on the back of my train. And like freight trains don't just kind of go, man, we need to get this stuff here. If we just, get this out now and you take the shortest possible route by like distance between these 2 points, nothing can go wrong.
You mean trains don't just work like taxis?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
because and also you can
and say go here,
and you can control the routes of intercity trains, which you could before, I believe, but also by default, cities would just send trains worth of people at you, at random, and again that messes up your train network when unexpected trains just appear, because that doesn't really happen. I'm not gonna say it's not a deep dive, but it's just interesting how many systems they didn't choose to carry over and how many systems they did carry over, and how many things are new. It just still feels like it's not complete, but it did take City Skylines a few years to feel like I'm like it's not had as much time as City Skylines, so I'm willing to give it more time. It's just interesting.
It's weird. That's just how games are these days. Of like, because they're able to be updated later because they're all digital. It's like you don't have to. It doesn't have to feel complete.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
But like maybe it'll get improved over time.
Yeah,
that's just like you kind of know that going into it.
Yeah.
To me, this sounds like, or is making me think of Age of Empires a little bit, where Age of Empires 4 came out, and people were like, "Oh, this could be interesting." It's been a long time since they made a new one, and then a lot of people were just like, "Yeah, but I'm gonna keep playing 2 instead."
Yeah. And I know not Diablo. Oh, no, it was Diablo. Was it Diablo?
Yes.
Yeah, Diablo
came out
Diablo
not too long ago. 4, I think.
Yeah, 4 came out, and then everyone was like, "Yeah, this is just the worst 3. We're gonna keep playing 2."
Yeah. Yeah. So there definitely are certain games where it's just like and so it could be that City Skylines is kind of like that, where people just continue to play the original.
Yes, which is like makes sense.
But with any luck, they may improve to the point where it's actually the better game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping. I've started modding already. Like, it took me. I played like maybe 150 hours of the first game before I started modding.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas for me, it was like 30 hours on the second game, and I don't know if that's because, like, obviously that's not a fair comparison, because now I expect a certain level of quality, and I now kind of know what I'm doing with mods, whereas before I didn't really know what I was doing.
And it's similar enough gameplay to where you're already like have experienced
because I wanted to
vanilla.
Yeah, because I wanted a vanilla playthrough for like achievement reasons for as long as possible, and I got to a point where I was like, yeah, I'm happy with the city. I didn't like 100% get all the way through the milestones, but I was like, I don't feel the need to keep going, so I restarted, looked at a bunch of mods, and then started a new one modded, and yeah, it's been pretty fun. I've not played it for a while. I've been playing a few more games, but I'll talk about this another time. I was like thinking of interesting game experiences that have happened in the last few years, and that was just one that stuck out to me. Of just, it's weird how common that is now in general. Where like, I mean, the whole early access game thing on Steam has been an issue for must be a decade now. Whenever they got rid of Steam Greenlight.
I haven't been playing as many games lately as I would like to. But I did play the new Zelda for a bit. I need to get back to it at some point.
Yeah.
And I have a video which I was gonna upload. It should be in the show notes. But for you, I guess I will just stream it so you can see.
Oh, there we are.
Yeah, so this is towards the beginning of the game. You're put in this jail cell, and these guys are guarding the exit. And I came up with a way to get to the door without them being able to arrest you.
That's quite funny.
But sadly, the door is locked, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a hard. Do you have to be arrested to progress, or?
No, you're supposed to go the other direction.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It's like sneak out the.
I was wondering if it was like you were trying to bypass a scripted event or something.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I'm not really sure what happened there.
I've got you. Oh, that's quite funny. Yeah, cheesing games is always fun.
Yeah, I spent way more time doing that than probably actually like playing the game and progressing the story. This is often my issue with completing games is I'll get distracted and start like finding ways to break them, or like
coming
up with weird side quests for myself.
That game does look quite good. I'll have to, not an ad. Hashtag not an ad. But I'll definitely have to try check that out.
Yeah, it's fun. It's you like learn different objects, and then you can like make copies of them to solve puzzles and stuff. Yeah. I know I talked previously about reading on the podcast, probably on several of them, and I was insisting on trying to actually read books with my eyes, and try and improve that, because I'm just generally a slow reader.
Yeah.
And I thought, I could this is a skill I could practice and get better at. Which I think was largely true. I did definitely improve. It probably could improve a lot more if I would do it consistently. But I have at least fine with like not doing that, and have sort of allowed myself to get really into audiobooks.
Yeah.
So I have listened to quite a few of those in the in between times. Particularly on a friend's recommendation, I got pretty into the Ender's Game books. I don't know if you've ever read any of those.
No, was there a Jane Smith movie? The same. I think that was a rendition of the books.
It's not Jaden Smith. It's oh, what's this kid's name? He's in Merlin. I don't know. There is a movie.
There is a movie. I thought it was Jaden Smith. Yeah, it's like I've seen so little of it. I didn't know who the main actor was.
Yeah. No, it's okay. The movie is not the experience. The audiobook is the good way to experience the story.
Yeah.
And I know that's a common thing for people who read books and then see movies, and I feel like I've often been on the other side of like, oh, I don't know, I enjoyed the movie. And so this may just be me being like hypocritical, but like I think genuinely like the Ender's Game movie is like pretty bad, even as far as those things.
Yeah, like beyond
there will, yeah, like obviously it's almost like people will always say that about a movie regardless.
Yeah. But I think it's
there are some are worse. A lot of them don't live up to the book, but some are worse than others.
Yeah, I mean I think like June's a good anti. I think June's pretty well regarded as a faithful, not.
You're saying Dune.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying June, like
June,
the month.
the month.
I was racking my brain.
June. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make you self-conscious. You don't have to speak like an American. It's fine.
The Timothy Chalamet, Zendaya. I've not really seen them. Apparently they're a good.
I still haven't. Yeah, I still haven't seen them either.
I have a friend that's
kind of on my list, but.
Yeah, because I have a friend that's like, oh, I want to read all the books before I watch the movie, and I'm like, yep.
That's relatable, but also not gonna happen.
I don't think I could read all of it. But yes, I have heard good things about Ender's Game, the book.
Yeah, I don't know. I've enjoyed them.
Yeah.
There was in one of the like sequel to a spin-off book. I haven't read like every one that's in the series or listened to everyone that's in the series. But yeah, in one of the like the more obscure ones, there was a scene which reminded me that the author for Ender's Game is Mormon.
Oh, right.
It's like very Mormon.
Yeah.
And it was this like this character was telling this other character that like they can only be happy if they have as many children as physically possible. And it's like that's the only way to have true happiness, and if they don't ever have children, they'll never be happy. They'll be miserable their whole life. And it was not said in a way where it was like, this is this character's opinion,
right,
and this other character is going to have different views. It was said like almost like like God speaking to the audience, like this is the true facts. And I was just like, whoa. And then then we moved on to a different scene, and it continued like the sci-fi story, and I was like, all right, I'm good with this. But that one scene, I was just like, hang on.
in a Mormon is showing.
Yeah.
That's quite funny.
There's that. There's a few funny things about. There was that, and then I'll say, as we are producing in an audio medium, another thing I found that was quite funny was actually it might have been the same book. I think it was Shadow of the Hegemon.
No
is
way.
The title.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
I know. Shadow the Hedgehog is what I was calling it. I'm glad you got that, but no. Apparently most of the audiobooks are quite good, and like they have different voices do different parts, and it's like
yeah.
But in that one, I think it was mainly just one guy reading that one, and apparently no one told him how to pronounce hegemon, but then someone tried to correct it after the fact, because it was like every time the word hegemon came up in the book, it was like it was either the same guy in a different day of recording or just a different voice entirely. I'm not quite sure, but it would always like he'd be like doing the whole sentence, and then right at the like a couple of words before you got to hegemon, it would try and transition, but it was like really bad. It was like very obviously just like that's when he became the hegemon.
That's quite funny.
Yeah, is that one was less good to listen to in that respect, but yeah, I don't know. I'm sure people have opinions on those. Currently, I'm listening to American Gods, which I didn't know anything about, but had heard of. I know it's like maybe a weird time to be reading Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, a little.
In the year of our Lord 2025.
Yes, because I've read Good Omens, and I've heard good things about American Gods. So yeah, it's a bit weird all around.
Yeah, and the Sandman and Coraline and stuff. I know people are like big fans of Neil Gaiman.
Yeah.
And
and Coraline's very good.
Yeah, and I'm not like I'm not up on the details of the allegations. So I don't really want to comment on that. But I will just say I'm like not choosing to read that at this time related to anything to that. It was honestly, it was just I'm a big fan of the band Blind Guardian, which is a like fantasy metal band that some of their songs are like sort of like original works, but a lot of them are like songs that they wrote based on books and like fantasy books and stuff.
Yeah.
And in their most recent album, there was a song based on American Gods, and I was like,
okay.
"Oh yes, I like this song. I've heard of this book before, and I'm getting into audiobooks. Maybe I'll get that from the library and listen to it." So
yeah,
I don't have very strong opinions on it at the moment, but
yeah, that sounds interesting.
Oh, another thing I wanted to mention.
Yeah.
That I got into in the in-between time.
Yeah.
I listened to the podcast, The Shrieking Shack, or Shriekcast, in its entirety. It's very good. Definitely. I know it's weird to plug podcasts on a podcast.
Yeah.
Stop listening to us and go listen to this. But
yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Have you
heard
of?
I don't think I have heard of Shriekcast.
So it is or at least it started as a Harry Potter reread podcast. It's kind of similar to our Babuka.
Oh yeah.
But for the Harry Potter books, and also like with a very critical eye towards J.K. Rowling and occasional like news updates on whatever terrible stuff she's up to.
Right. Yep.
So that's like entertaining / therapeutic in a way.
Yeah. Interesting.
But it was I spent the last 2 years getting caught up on it, and it was weirdly relevant as I was listening to it. Like I feel like it was very ahead of its time in like something would be happening that they were talking about, and then something like they were talking about like the Fantastic Beast movies and like hoping it gets delayed or doesn't come out or something, and then like COVID happens and,
right
or like I swear at some point they were like talking about like Twitter being bad, and at the same time that I was listening to it, like out of time, like Elon Musk was buying Twitter
Right,
and
right.
making it, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, they don't even know,
They
they
don't
don't
even know.
even know.
They don't even know how bad it's gonna get. That's quite funny.
It was like
Um,
every major event that was happening in the news felt like it was related to whatever episode I was currently at. I was just like, what's happening?
that's quite funny. Time was a flat circle.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if you listen to it starting now, it might not be as good of an experience. But either way, I don't know. I found it entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did run out of Harry Potter and moved on to like Twilight and Hunger Games and
Yeah.
just
I mean, that's fair enough.
other stuff. But
Yeah. No, in terms of like, I've been to start listening to the Magnus Archives.
I've heard of that. That's a
So-
D&D podcast, or what is that?
It's like a horror anthology, I think, podcast. So it's
Oh, okay.
I think it's all kind of similar to SCP, if for those who like that stuff. And I've been to get into it, because
I've heard that name, but
I've always
have
heard
not
it.
listened to it.
I've heard it come up a lot in conversations of the SCP Foundation, because that's something I've been interested in for years now. That's really cool. A lot of cool stuff comes from the SCP project.
You're from the SCP project, right? The Upside Down Doggo.
Oh yeah. That's that's a classified anomaly that needs locking away. But no, it's been like recently. A lot of my reading has been like academic. I think most of the books I've read in the last year have been like textbooks or. So I need to try. I've been given quite a lot of books as well. I was given some what books am I looking at here? I got some John Green, the Anthropocene Reviewed. What else do I have? Oh yeah, I got my dad's found some Terry Pratchett in a box, and I was
nice.
oh, I should probably read some Terry Pratchett. And
Yeah, that's on my list.
like I've got a collection of books. I've read some of I've got Matt Parker's Humble Pie. I've got a signed copy by Matt Parker. That was quite fun. But yeah, no, like most of the books I've been reading recently have been academic books, which are all, they're fine. Mathematicians are terrible at, maybe not prose. Prose isn't the right word because it's not prose. But I feel like there's a barrier between what they're talking about and how they write it. Sometimes I find in books where it's like, I feel like you could use half as many words as you're using, and get the point across. Or there's some books
not very concise.
There's some books that insist on using notation right away, and sometimes these books, if the book is like pre-70s, it's probably not standardized. It's probably not uniformly standardized notation.
Are you saying
for maths and
saying that math majors are not English majors?
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the complaint?
But also notation wasn't standardized for a while. More so in physics. It's a whole thing about electromagnetism, and if you're using Gaussian units, which means you don't have to convert. But that's like a whole different thing. But no, I've had to read a lot of books as well for referencing, and it resulted in quite a funny situation where I was doing an experiment about surfactants, and I was like, I need a reference to cite with my bit about how surfactants work, so it's not like I'm just making it up. So I found a book called Surfactants, and I couldn't find a single thing that defines the basic overview of surfactants and how they work and why they work and why you have things like hydrophobic and hydrophilic that cling to different sides of molecules and stuff. So I just I just cited it and referenced it, and hoped no one checked. because what they would do, they would click the thing and they'd see a page number in a book called Surfactants, probably go, yeah, that's probably right. And that worked. So, I mean...
You can't say this, Wobbles. They're gonna listen to this. No, honestly, if they made it like an hour and a half into this and they're not like in your corner, then I don't know what to say.
Yeah. But I did also like I cited some other responsible sources as well as that, and I don't know. I feel like it's a fairly minor thing.
What was that word you were saying? Surfactants?
Surfactants, yeah.
Surfactants.
They like dish soap is a surfactant because half of it likes the water and half of it likes like fats, and that's why soap works and gets like oil off of things. But in terms of like actual things I've been trying to read as well, I have had several people suggest Homestuck to me.
Oh no.
Now I don't know. I haven't yet, and I'm not sure if I should. It
Go
yeah.
on.
Well, I just I don't have the time really, and I'm like afraid of it. It's like
As you should be.
it seems like almost like a religious text, right?
Yeah. That's the way some people treat it.
I mean, it is a creation myth, from my understanding, from how I've had it like with people who I've talked to about, and it's interesting, because I feel like it's a big part of internet culture as well. Like it's
yeah, that's fair to say.
and I'm like, I just maybe not read all of it, but I just want to see what this is all about.
Yeah. You need a summary.
Yeah, if someone could make me a cliff notes of all like, I don't know, it's still going, isn't it? Is it still going?
A reminted edition,
Yeah,
if you will.
yeah.
No, it's not still going.
I know it had like a revival of some. I think they updated the website to look nicer in the past few years. Is that last year?
I don't know the details on that. They might have like broke some of the Flash games and stuff when they were doing that. I'm not really sure. It's kind of hard for me to believe that there are still people that are the Homestucks.
Yeah,
are that into it in the year 2025.
Like I know people who are my age that have read it like after the Homestuck era, which I find is interesting.
Yeah, because when I was in high school, it was like prime Homestuck time. It was still like coming out.
Yeah.
And I definitely had some friends that were very into it and tried to get me into it, and so I've read like a little bit of it, but again, especially at the time, like not very good at reading things.
Yeah.
Quickly, and it's quite long, as you said.
Yeah, it's very long. But...
So I kind of didn't get that far, but I got a lot of it through osmosis of like.
Yeah, I've gotten some gist of
details of things.
Yeah.
I know like the like people love like the quadrants, like the friend. It's been too long. I don't remember all the names, but there's like your romantic soulmate, your platonic soulmate, and your like your rival, and your like mediator between you and your rival, and those are like the four like quadrants or whatever.
Right.
I'm sure like some Homestuck will tell me I'm wrong and I explain that poorly, but that's like, I feel like that's a big part of like the relating to people that are Homestucks and their culture.
Right.
So like, I don't know, there are things like that you could kind of learn that would not require you to read the entire thing.
Right. Yeah. But I am just interested to give it a go. Because I've been told I would like it.
It does kind of seem like something, like I wouldn't be too surprised if you were like, I'm actually pretty into Homestuck. I'd be like, It checks out.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means. I don't know. I don't know why I'm saying this about you, but I agree, and I'm sorry. I apologize for what I've done.
That's all right. Yeah, but no, I need to really get serious on reading properly. Really.
Yeah, I would like to get back into it. We may or may not go into this more next episode when we get into all of our follow up. But I did make a bingo card for the year.
Oh yes, yeah.
Full of little yearly goals, and definitely should read more. I think it's probably related to at least one or two of the spots on my bingo board.
Fair enough.
What was I? Oh, I forgot to mention. So, yeah, so I spent the last 2 years catching up on Shriekcast, got fully caught up, and as soon as I got caught up, they basically stopped releasing new episodes.
Oh, really? That's quite funny. It's
yeah, they're
weird timing.
Yeah, they haven't
maybe they made the
I don't know, the most
just
recent
for you.
maybe. No, I think they do have like a post on social media saying like, "Bro, we're making a new episode soon, doing new stuff." So I don't know, with any luck, reviving
Maybe we should have done that for the last...
our show.
Yeah,
will bring them back. In fact, I did hear someone theorize that if we started making episodes again, maybe Hello Internet would show up.
If you know what, big if true, huge if true.
Yeah. I didn't come up with that one. I heard it.
When I met Matt Parker, I should have tried to kick that up the chain.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, even better. For you number file heads, I have bumped into Ben Sparks a few times. I've only talked to him once at the same thing I talked to Matt Parker, but he works at my university.
Oh wow.
But I don't really want to go up to a guy. Well,
imagine being British and living near
British
all of the British people.
But other than
turns out your island's not that big.
Yeah, but I don't really want to a guy who's just walking about. I mean, obviously I'd be like, oh hi.
You don't want to be
cool.
weird.
No, but I just think on top of that, if you're by the way, could you pass a message on to Brady?
I get you.
I should ask him if he has any hot stoppers. And they'll probably get excluded for harassment. But
expelled.
Yeah.
I thought when you said number file, I thought you were gonna say Brady.
No. He's not far from me. He's not far from me. Probably, if I had to guesstimate, because I don't actually know where he lives, but he's probably a 30-minute drive. He's pretty close.
Gray has mentioned that his parents live in North Carolina, and he comes here to visit them. So
yeah.
I'm not saying we should stalk them, but I'm not saying that. Yeah, that's all.
He just left his house. No.
Oh no. Oh
yeah, you could do your.
We're bouncing around on this.
Yeah, I was meant to reorder this because I threw those down. Was I should probably put that in a better order. This should be
it's.
But
I figured out that should be reordered. I was with you on that. It's more me forgetting to I make 4 bullet points and I address 3 of them, and then I forget the 4th one until we're 3 topics later, and then I'm like, oh yeah. But while we're still remotely talking about reading and books, I wanted to put this out there. I think I'm gonna try and make some kind of contact form.
Okay.
That I will put in the show notes / description.
Link in the doobly-doo.
Link in the doobly-doo. whenever anyone may be listening to this, if you are a future aspiring minter listening to this, perhaps, or an old favorite, I would like to ask for book suggestions.
Yeah.
Since I am.
And I'd be happy to also take the suggestions.
Yes, trying to read more in general, and also like I don't know, enjoying reading.
Yeah.
Things that like they can even be like fairly obvious stuff, because it's like there's a lot of like I feel like there's a lot of books that like, people won't think to suggest because it's like, oh well, that's a classic, so it's like everyone has already read that, but it's like I probably haven't.
Yeah.
And even if it is, it's like I don't know, it's kind of it will kind of be nice to see what people suggest, because just suggest stuff you like. Don't suggest stuff that you don't like.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Or like,
but
trying to suggest stuff that you think we'll like, and then we'll think you're cool because you suggest them.
I don't need you to be like, oh, he's so smart, he suggested this. But if you can, if everyone could suggest like their favorite fiction book, and if you have a favorite nonfiction book, I would like 2 suggestions per person.
Yeah.
That's all I'm asking for.
That sounds good.
And if this podcast really takes off, we may get those for the rest of time, but I am okay with that.
I mean, yeah.
I'll have to figure out a way to put them into a massive spreadsheet and organize them and see what's like the most suggested duplicate.
Yeah,
but
something like that.
That'd be fun.
I feel like this is gonna give me what I call like the I'm gonna call it right now the bookshop effect, and I get this every time I go into like a slightly larger bookshop, but like now I've started thinking about it extends into any bookshop, of just how many things humans have written, and how like even if I spend the rest of my life reading, I will barely make a dent in like 0.001%. And it's like it's such a cool fact that we've done a lot of things.
Yeah, it is, but it also can get like depressing really quickly.
Yeah, but like, I think
you can't linger on that too long.
Yeah, but that's why I've kind of taken the route where it's like I also don't feel like it's not like a rush to read, because like even if I did read loads, there's still there's a whole world out there.
That's true. Yeah.
That's kind of like the.
I guess if you look at it that way, it can take the pressure off.
Yeah, but it's still pretty daunting when you think of it like that. In terms of like, there's a whole world you'll never know. But yeah, that does sound good. I'll send in your recommendations.
Anything else that you've gotten into lately? Oh, I was gonna mention actually.
You've got your Survivor note here.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention, in the in between time, I also have gotten pretty into Survivor, and watching that with friends.
Yeah.
So that's a good show actually. Yeah. As it turns out, I know this is like probably a pretty common experience people have been having online of like there were seasons on Netflix and people were sitting at home during the pandemic or whatever and they watched it. But I don't know. I also have had this experience, so I'll mention it. And I mainly wanted to bring it up just to say like I know like my family is kind of this way, and probably a lot of people are this way, of like just having like a gut reaction of like, oh, reality TV, ew. That's for dumb people.
I have been dragged into to the Love Island thing.
See,
it's my addition to this. I get it. All right.
See, I don't know about that one because I haven't watched it, so I'm gonna judge you.
I was a hater, and I was like, this is stupid, and like, it's indicative of like the consumerist society we live in. And then I started watching it. I was like, I don't care about any of that. This is just good. This is just good meaty.
It's just good.
Raw television.
I don't know. I think I can't speak for Love Island, but for Survivor, I think there is a
yeah, they are
game design wise. I think they actually care a lot. I think it's easy for like TV show like game premises for people to like not put the work in to like make it balanced and make it like really interesting and dynamic and stuff. And it's like they have like teams of people who like really have been putting the work in for like decades now, to make the game like work really well, and so I kind of appreciate that aspect of it.
I mean, it's no like I guess it's no like is it Crystal Maze? What's the one there? Is it Crystal Maze? That's like the top tier of game show interactive game thing. More people have been on the moon than have won that show.
Interesting. I have no idea what that is, but I'm definitely going to look that up later.
Oh, maybe this is a British thing. I think it might just be a British.
Probably is. It's probably just a British thing.
Or like Takeshi's Castle. I think that's
that one. That one I've heard of. Yeah.
But
speaking of British things, I've also gotten into Taskmaster.
Taskmaster is very good. I've been meaning to.
That's great.
I need to watch more of it. My rent comes with a TV license for some reason. It just does.
Well, it's all on YouTube.
It is also all on YouTube, but because I can watch television. I can watch television live, so I can watch new Taskmaster every Thursday.
I see.
I can watch it as it comes out. I've watched all of Peep Show in the last couple of years. Peep Show is a very good show, very very funny sitcom.
I don't know what that is.
I think you'd enjoy it. I think it's quite good. And I've started watching The Thick of It recently, which is very good. That's got Peter Capaldi in.
Nice.
And he
will have a good Doctor Who
yeah.
actor.
Well, yeah, because this is what he was known for before he became the Doctor.
Oh, I see.
Which is why there's a joke. Oh, who's the YouTuber? There's an animation YouTuber that years ago made a joke video about Peter Capaldi becoming the Doctor, and he plays like his role in The Thick of It, where he's like very angry and sweary because it's about British politicians. And Peter Capaldi plays basically like is like head of communications for the Prime Minister, so he's like in charge of like the relation between government and the press. So he's understandably very stressed all the time and shouts at people a lot.
Sounds like a good role for him.
It's so funny. It's very well written. And recent political events on your side of the pond have made me think of that show, just due to like the scale of tomfoolery, but also specifically how the show portrays the relationship between journalists and government. And I don't know why that would be topical at the moment, but I just thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah. No, that's you're selling.
It's really good. It's really good.
What else was I gonna say about Survivor? It's also just like fun to, I don't know. It's like people and the things that they do, and watching it with someone else, and then like just talking about it the whole time as you're watching it. It's just fun. It's a good social.
Definitely. I think that's the appeal of Love Island. I watch it with my girlfriend's family normally, and that's a great bonding opportunity. Yeah, because you get to argue about people's not fake, really relationships. I don't know. It's like it's a weird. I don't know. Love Island is very interesting.
I don't know for that show, but like for like for Survivor, there's definitely human
Yeah.
elements to it of like people's relationships, but then there's also like strategic, and you can kind of argue of like, oh, actually this is a really
There's
smart
a lot
move,
of
'cause that puts them in a good position with this person while also being in a good position with
yeah.
that person.
There's
Like,
a lot there's a lot of good
you know.
Roblox games that do emulate that. Weirdly, I've played some in my free time, and they're good. Like they're quite amusing just because it's funny because you have a group of like kids / young adults going into a game knowing they're trying to do reality TV-esque things. So people off the bat, like it's fun to put on like a caricature when you play those sorts of games and be like, I'm gonna pretend to be like,
I'm gonna be the
exactly, I'm gonna
villain.
be this like stereotype of person, and it's good fun.
Yeah,
It's
that
a
is
good
fun.
way of it's a funny, it's quite an interesting derivative of the like I'm trying to think Survivor. It's I guess it's more so of like a result of of Total Drama Island, which was a satirization of Survivor.
Right.
And then
Yeah. I've kind of since actually getting into. I never watched Total Drama Island that much when I was younger, but I do remember it being on
yeah,
TV
yeah,
when it was like new, and I was a kid, and I remember thinking like, oh, that looks kind of dumb.
but it's quite amusing.
But I've kind of wanted to check it out, having now actually watched Survivor, and like so I would get what it's satirizing.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I don't know, like it's similar to like any kind of social deduction, like werewolf type game. It's like it is just entertaining to see the people and have the interactions.
That's probably why Among Us did so well. Well, that is people just like that, so that's why Among Us did so well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's interesting.
I see something about you being a coffee guy.
So, no, I may be tried in the high courts of Mint for this, but I've kind of gone into the deep end of like.
Just reminded me I had to.
Yeah, it's the deep end of like, specialty coffee. I've got like 5 different ways of making coffee now to my disposal. And like
are you grinding.
Yeah, I have a coffee grinder. But the downside, well, maybe not the downside. It is a bit of an upside, but also like is that so with my housemates, like they'll see me make coffee every morning, and I've talked to a housemate about my coffee making because I use an AeroPress, which is like a little I don't know how to describe it to someone who hasn't seen it before, but it's a way of making coffee where you generate your own pressure. You have a cylinder that you can attach a filter thing to the bottom. You put your coffee in, put your water in, and then you push a piston down towards the coffee, and then the hot water mixes with the coffee beans, and then the pressure forces it through, and it extracts the coffeeness. Anyway, it's quite like a
So like is it similar to like a French press?
Yeah, it does. It's
because that's what I was picturing until you said piston, and then I was picturing Redstone Minecraft. I was like,
so yeah, well yeah. So so a French press or cafetiere is infusion brewing, where you just want to leave the coffee in the water for as long as possible.
it's
But
like
the reason you push
the
the piston down, the thing down, is to filter out the grounds from your water, whereas the piston here is kind of doing what like an espresso machine does, because the high pressure speeds up the rate of extraction of coffeeness from the grounds.
I see. So it's like really squeezing
Yeah.
the juices out of the coffee.
Where so it's kind of like
Gotcha.
a weird middle ground between like filter coffee and espresso. Because you can make espresso, or you can make something that's like in lieu of espresso. Like it won't be as strong or as have the same like thick texture that espresso from like a proper machine will have, but then it won't be as like silty or it's kind of different from thingy coffee. But what this has meant is like I had a flatmate for Secret Santa got me specialty coffee, which was very nice. My mum for Christmas got me like a book about making coffee, and I think I've started on the thing of Wabbles likes this thing, so the presents are gonna get for the rest of their life.
You are now the coffee guy. You're not. So a correction from earlier, from what I said. You've not become a coffee guy. You've become the coffee guy.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna. Like, I mean, it's.
You sounded so distressed.
I don't know what to do. I mean, it comes at the same time.
I don't know what to do.
But my realizing that I like coffee has made me like. I don't know. I'm quite like in terms of like alcoholic beverages. I've become quite like I like. I've come to like the niceties, and that sort of thing, and I've developed taste, I guess, is what I'm saying. But it's weird. It is quite funny when you. Look, I'm just lucky that I didn't go on enough about my favorite animal as a kid that like I now have like 7 million things covered in my favorite animal, because that also happens.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I am buying you a present, I'm getting you a meerkat. Something.
Meerkat.
I'll just get you a meerkat. I'll just mail it to you in a box.
Coffee press.
Poke some holes in it. Meerkat
barista.
Oh. Hey, yeah. I mean, you would love that.
I mean, actually, yeah, I would use that every day if you like.
You're like, please.
No,
anyone listening?
Guys, I'd hate that. Please send nothing to our new PO box we just opened up.
We get, yes, we become the #1 podcast in the world, and we get
flooded with gifts.
Flooded with book recommendations, and specifically meerkat
coffee paraphernalia. Oh, that's such a
I'm like, it's fine. I organized them all into a spreadsheet. I can see them all, and meanwhile you're over there like, I have a warehouse full.
Just started to give
every surface in my home, every countertop, every table,
in my shower, in my toilet.
My alarm goes off. I wake up. I smack a meerkat in the face. Actually, my entire bed is covered.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
It's ruining my life. Please stop sending them. And every episode, I'm like, it's getting funnier, guys. Yeah. It's gonna come back around. It'll be funny again, actually.
If we just keep going.
Trust me on this one.
But no, yeah, it's a pretty funny situation. I've never really had. Well, like I had it when I was little with like dinosaurs, and that sort of thing. A little bit.
Yeah. I feel like it's easy to have that as like a really little kid.
But no, yeah, I've been kind of bestowed upon like the coffee guy. I mean, I make a good espresso martini, so I'm popular at parties.
I mean, no one's really to blame here. This is kind of like a cultural thing with our the way we insist on like getting people presents for all sorts of occasions, and then it's like people have to be like, well, what do they like? What would be a good present? And
I mean,
it's sometimes it's like not that easy, but yeah, my parents are definitely good at this of like, oh, this is your thing, so I will get you, and to the point where it's also, in my case, it's having siblings. It's like, well, that can't be your thing. That's his thing. Your thing is this. His thing is that. And it's just like sometimes we both like the same thing, and sometimes we like a thing without it being our entire personality.
My sister, who is, I don't think as much into like nice coffee as I am, has much nicer coffee making things that I wish I had. I would like to get a percolator. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, this podcast is definitely going long. I will say I am perfectly okay with you being a coffee guy. I am actually kind of a coffee guy myself. I don't know how we ended up on mint tea, but here we
I
are.
it was like an offhand thing where we both happened to be drinking mint tea at the same time 8 years ago.
I do like tea. I think this is one of the it's like a false dichotomy
Right. Yeah.
where people it's similar. Like people are always like, "Are you a cat person
Yeah.
or a
I
dog
mean,
person?" It's like
it's yeah.
both.
I mean,
Can I
I
like
mean,
both?
it's less of a thing in the UK. To be fair, most people will want like both. I think
Like almost no one drinks
yeah.
tea in
Whereas
the
like
US.
where
It's
we have
like,
we have a tea is quite, but I don't drink that much English tea. I drink a lot of Rooibos. Rooibos is a good. I've kind of gone to that. That's quite nice.
I've had that recently a little bit.
And
I had like a robust chai.
mm,
It
and I've
was
started
quite good.
drinking tea. Well, I've been drinking coffee black for years, but I've started drinking tea black, and I've never gone back really. I'm like seen as like a social pariah, but like
I
I drink my I have my like English breakfast tea black.
good.
But it's just better.
That's the
Like
correct
if you
way.
have to use milk to
That
mask up
is
your bad tea making skills, that's your problem.
Yeah, and then you don't have to worry about the sugar rotting your teeth or the
Yeah, I
milk
mean
like upsetting your
I mean
stomach.
I
It's
haven't had to
like
put
no,
sugar in
just
anything since I was like 8. You know.
yeah, just black tea, black coffee. It's like occasionally, if you're getting like a fancy like drink,
Yeah,
you can
if I'm
have
having like a
you know
sometimes if I'm getting it from a coffee shop, I'll have like a flat white.
yeah. It's about knowing like you set the rules so that you can break them when you
Yeah.
feel like
Well,
it,
like
But the rule is just black.
first thing in the morning, I need a black coffee. If I've had a coffee already, and I'm going out to a nice coffee shop, yeah, maybe I'll get like a cortado or a flat white or no, I wouldn't get like a cappuccino. It's too milky. But
I'm totally on board with this. I
I
agree.
quite like.
Black coffee. Is
I
the
mean,
way to go.
I've developed more of a like I said earlier. Like I quite like my ales, my stouts, my rubies, my ambers, my golden, other varieties of ale. Um,
Other varieties are available.
where
I'm not a big drinker really, so I don't have much
that's
to
fair.
contribute to that conversation. But the coffee and the tea.
Yeah,
Um,
I've kind of, it's interesting. It's one of the things I've noticed, and I actually thinking about it, I've always felt this way, that I have actually for a very long time preferred like savory foods. But like as a kid, I ate chocolate because that's just what kids are meant to do. Like I don't know.
yeah.
There was a weird psychological shift.
Adults kept handing you chocolate and being like, "You enjoy
Yeah,
this."
like there was a point I realized when I went to sixth form and like definitely in university where I was like, I don't actually buy like when I'm left to my own devices, I don't actually care about eating that many sweet things. Like I'll eat a sweet treat on occasion. I'll get myself like a chocolate bar or
yeah.
but like sweets just don't
Wait.
appeal to me anymore. Like
Yeah, it's kind of it's nice. It's more like I don't know. It's more fun when it's like an
yeah,
occasional
but
treat that you're craving.
if I
or
was
something.
gonna get
But even like the sweet stuff that I like, a lot of times it's like I'm always pairing it with like a black
yeah,
coffee.
exactly. And like
It's like
I think
if it's like apple pie or something.
yeah, and I found like I'd much prefer like a savory snack, like a savory pastry, like a pasty, or crisps, or a sausage roll.
Mm.
Bit of mustard.
Okay, but let me ask you this, Wobbles. Do you like dark roast coffee?
Yeah, dark roast is quite nice. I prefer like maybe lighter roasts. I think they're more subtle. I think
Interesting.
what annoys me. Oh, maybe I'm about to earn myself the mantle of the coffee guy, but when they sell you coffee at the shop, they use strength in quotation marks. I forgot you can't see me do finger quotation marks. They sell you strength quote unquote as a substitute for roast. So you'll get like a bag of coffee in the shop, and it'll be like strength 6, super strong, ultra, mega, amazing coffee. Buy now for only $5.99, and it's £7 because inflation, and they haven't changed the packet design. And that's always going to be like a dark roast, whereas like one, I'm a little baby, please don't hurt me, I'm a little baby, is always like a light roast. And I'm like, why? Like, coffee strength is, you can have a strong light roast and a weak dark roast. Like, there's a different, like, strength of coffee it is in how you like make it and how much you extract. Whereas like a roast is like the thing they do in like the where coffee is made, the roastery. So that sounds right.
That's
beforehand.
See, I need to get more into coffee so I can experience like the stronger light roasts and the weaker dark roasts.
But I do like a dark roast. But you normally find that like dark roasts on the whole are like worse quality coffee tends to be, the bulk of bad coffee is dark roast. I think is how I want to say it. As in, like, I've normally had, when I've had nice coffee, it's lighter roasts, but it's because most of bad coffee is dark roasts, because it's easier and cheaper. Because like light and medium roasts, you have to like time it, whereas like dark roast, you just go until it's like not green, or definitely not green.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just mostly going based off like cheaper.
Oh yeah, I mean,
where it's like a dark roast, you get more flavor.
Yeah,
tends to be, but like less caffeine.
Yeah, you get more of the earthy, like muddy flavors.
Yeah, I like drinking mud.
I mean, and I you know what, I also like, sometimes it's nice to just, hard as nails, drink a cup of mud.
Go out in the yard, scoop up some dirt.
But
pour some hot water.
There can be like there are definitely places for more subtle, like citrusy, because like lighter roasts are like fruitier. But also I do just drink dark coffee because you could buy it by the kilo, and it's quite cheap that way. Whereas like other ones, they don't sell by the kilo for some reason, but you could just buy a kilo bag and that will do me a few months.
I'm sure they do somewhere.
Well, but like it's I'm going for like the supermarket's own. They only really sell like a kilo bag of that stuff. I'm sure like if I go to a different supermarket, they'll have a better variety. Or
that's fair. I was gonna ask follow-up questions. I was gonna ask, do you like dark roast coffee? And then I had other. Oh, do you like dark chocolate?
I do love dark chocolate.
Okay, good. Me too. Yeah, that's the correct answer. And I guess do you like dark ale? Is that a thing you were talking about?
Oh yeah. I like a stout. Stout is quite like Guinness. I don't know if you've ever had Guinness. Guinness is quite.
That's the Irish one, right?
Guinness is quite nice.
That's what they produce in Ireland. Just that.
And bitter's quite nice. You'll never guess what its flavor profile is.
That name's a bit on the nose.
But yeah, it's quite a bitter. I do quite like my bitter, not bitters, which is a different thing altogether. Different. But bitters is nice. You add it to a cocktail. Anyway.
So yeah, I was just wondering if it was like a across the board.
Yeah, no,
I guess all those terms being used are generally like one's more bitter and one's
my favorite version of this sort of thing is with maple syrup, and how there's the different color gradings of maple syrup.
A darker like amber syrup or something.
But what happened is that they used to be graded by class, and I think it's the darkest class of maple syrup is class A.
Interesting.
So your average consumer is in the shop, going down the maple syrup aisle, which I assume is in every Canadian supermarket and by extension American. And you're looking at to buy what maple syrup, and you read class A. I mean, that's the best one, right? I got an A in class once, and I did quite well on that test. So, and maple syrup companies realize that's not good. Like, as in, it's bad for that because
most people want
the
lighter.
Yeah. But like, they realize that people are buying loads of Class A, and they're like, why is this type of maple syrup really popular? And they realize, oh wait, it's because
not.
people think it's a
People just
quality
don't
indicator,
understand.
not yeah. So now they have like a really they've gone from like a quite a succinct but maybe misleading thing to just a completely useless. Like it's all like really descriptive. It's like old oaky brown maple or light baby bird maple, and it's like there has to be a middle ground between annoyingly quantitative and uselessly qualitative. Like there has to be a good middle ground here.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Sure.
I have never experienced that though, because I think in American supermarkets it's just
Maple syrup.
well, there's like most of the aisle is just like fake, really
Right.
sugary.
The stuff that's shaped like a bear in The Simpsons.
Yeah, the stuff it's like shaped like a bear, or no, the bear
Oh,
is
that's
like
honey. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. The syrup is like Aunt Jemima or whatever.
What's she doing there?
Yeah, well, I guess I don't think she is anymore. Oh, I forgot to mention my tea this episode is how we are the MtP podcast, formerly known as My tea is Perfectly Mint, formerly known as Plantation Mint.
Mine's mint green tea. So it's technically it's green tea with mint in it. It's an infusion.
What kind of? Yeah, the Perfectly Mint is black tea with spearmint. Is your green tea with spearmint or just mint?
Yeah, I've never learned the difference.
Yeah, I never quite learned what.
And there's like
was.
peppermint, which is normally the sweeter one as well.
Yeah, I know it. I know I have like a peppermint in my brain.
Yeah, like the little circle.
I know what that taste is, but
the red and white.
Yeah, I have one of those.
Yeah, I think it's
spearmint.
The one that's like got the white thing. My dad has a mint plant that I have used actually in the making of this show. I think
I remember.
That's the one. Is that spearmint? I think that's spearmint. Maybe we might have some botanists in the audience that will correct us. But
I'm sure.
I think having the conversation come around to mint is a
good place. I totally cut myself off. Though,
oh yeah, Jeff. Just
What was I saying? I don't want to infuriate people by starting a sentence and not getting back to it.
I know. I talked about maple syrup.
Oh yeah, I think I was just saying that it's like most of the aisle is just like sugary garbage, and then there's always like one bottle at like every grocery store that is just like real maple syrup, and that's like what my family always would get. But you'd have to like find it, and it's like usually in like a glass bottle or whatever.
Right.
But it's like the selection, I feel like, is not like, you can't be picky. It's not like grade A, grade B, grade C. It's like
real or fake.
It's like, no, here's all the it's like the fake crap, and then like the one bottle of
a tree had something to do
syrup.
with this maple syrup.
Yeah, so it's just like this was a revelation to me that there is that you could go to a store and there would
varieties of maple syrup. Maybe this
a hue of like golden
green. Maybe not. If your maple syrup's green, please do not consume it.
That doesn't sound right. Minty syrup.
Maybe it's mint flake, guys. We were gonna release mint syrup. Don't know.
Yeah, we've committed to the branding. We don't know how we got here. We don't know what this podcast is about, but we've committed.
Audio guys already let the marketing team know. They're already on it. So
I thought you were gonna say the audio guys already left.
I mean, he's not been paid, so he's a bit.
Yeah, you only paid him for 2 hours. He's long gone.
But yeah, I think that's a good place to leave it.
I think so.
Happy minting.
Happy minting. See you next.
See you next mint.